Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this late afternoon, going into evening time, pretty momentarily for the Mice and Men album review you've been waiting for. And I know I did do a community tab post, or posted a community tab post saying that I was at work. I really was at work. I just basically worked like about 3.5 hours, not that long honestly. So this is for their newest album, Tether, that I got a chance to listen to for myself to see what I was going to think of their newest album. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for Mice and Men's 2023 album, Tether, and let you know my thoughts on their newest album as a whole. So let's dive into this album review. Now, it is 10 tracks, and it's like 38 minutes at least, so it's not a very long album, but what did I think of this album overall? We're gonna go track by track, and I'll let you know what I thought of each song. To start it off, we got Integration. That was a solid track. I just don't know if I was feeling for the opening track. It was a little too soft for me, and it just didn't sound like something I really was interested in. I mean, the melody and the hooks are fine. It's just Aaron Paul's clean vocals. There are times where it can do well and times where it doesn't. It's a hit or miss for me. So 4.5 out of 5. I don't hate this song. It's a good track. It's just a little too mellow for me. It's not the kind of a Mice and Men song I was expecting as the opening song, but it's nice for what it is. It's just good. War Paint is a strong track. Really like this track. Aaron Paul's screams and his vocals, clean vocals, sound pretty good. So, really digging this track. So, 5 out of 5. Then comes Shiver, which keep in mind I did do a track review for War Paint. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go check that track review out for it. Shiver is a solid track. I felt a little bored with this song. It's not that I hated it, it's just it was good because Aaron Paul's clean vocal sounded nice. It's just, I don't know, it just wasn't the kind of sound I was expecting for this track. Like the first song, there's a few tracks on this album that kind of are a little forgettable. But it's not the worst album I've heard. There are better songs for this album, but it's just 3 songs kind of make the album not as great as the last album. So, pretty much 4.5 out of 5 for Shiver. I just felt that it was not the of Mice and Men I was expecting them to do for this track. But it's whatever. It's still a good song. It sounds nice. Just was expecting heavier stuff. Then comes Eternal Pessimist, which was a great track. I really like this song. It definitely rocks for sure. I really enjoyed Aaron Paul's screams in this track and just the way the song executes with his screams and the breakdowns, the drum work, the guitar work. It's impressing me. So 5 out of 5. Into the Sun sounded pretty good. It's mostly Aaron Paul's clean vocals through majority, but he does do some screams from time to time. And it does pretty well execution-wise and how the delivery is with the tracks. It performed pretty well. 5 out of 5. And Raptured is another great song. It has some good chunky breakdowns from time to time. Just there are some moments where I don't know if I connect with it, but it still is a great track for what it went for. The chorus had me sold for this song, so 5 out of 5. Castaway is a great song. I really enjoyed this track for what I went for, so 5 out of 5 for this one. I did do a track review for it, I think in September or something like that. I think it was like August or September. I can't honestly remember, but I know they dropped this as a single, like the second single, so it was a pretty strong track. 5 out of 5. Tether, the title track, is really nice for the first 2 minutes. It does come in with some pretty good drum work and guitar work towards the end of the song, and it does pretty well. Aaron Paul's clean vocals is amazing in this song. It's like he sounds really good throughout this album. I will give Of Mice and Men and Aaron Paul this. His clean vocals sounded really good in this album, but it comes to a point where too much clean vocals is going to ruin the reception for the album a bit. Not in the worst way, it just is not going to be as good as the last two albums. So basically, Tether is a 5 out of 5 for me. I still enjoyed the track. It's really nice, and the closing part of the song is pretty amazing. Indigo is a solid track. I still feel the same way about it when I listen to it. I just don't know how I felt when I listened to it. It's alright. So maybe there's at least 4 songs that I have. Alright. Yeah, alright. Excuse my yawning. That are alright in my opinion. But the other 6 tracks are pretty amazing. So, pretty much 4.5 out of 5 for Indigo. Then comes Zephyrus, the final track to close this album, and it's a solid one. It's not anything mind-blowing. I don't know. Aaron Paul's vocal sounded good, but it's just the way the verses sounded with him singing it and the execution. It just didn't land with how it's sounding. So, I don't know. It just a little weak, but it's still a good track because it sounds nice, but it's not one of my favorites, so 4.5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Of Mice and Men, Tether was a good album. I would probably give Shiver a 4 out of 5, if I'm being honest, because with what I heard with it, I just wasn't a fan of it, so maybe I'd give it a 4 out of 5, that one, because I don't know, it just wasn't I wasn't feeling for it that much. It's probably one of the weakest songs off this album. So I think this was a good album in its own way. Would I say this is Of Mice and Men's best work? It's a little weaker than the last 2 albums. But hey, they did do a good job. Don't get me wrong. I think Aaron Paul's clean vocals sounded nice in this album, but it's the execution for certain tracks that kind of brought the reception down for this album, in my opinion. So, for a score for me, I'm giving Of Mice and Men Tether an 8 out of 10. Good album in its own way. Not one of my favorites this year, but it is a good album. I will be coming back to it, seeing if it grows on me throughout time. But for now, 8 out of 10 for this album. So, 8 out of 10 for Of Mice and Men Tether for their new 2023 album. Thank you guys for watching this album review this evening.